Giles, you and I are both parents of an uncountably large number of children. And so we both know the value and what we will pay for a few minutes of someone else distracting the brood. Which brings us to Merlin Entertainment, which reported earnings today. What did we learn, if anything?
Well, let's first remember how Merlin tries to entertain your kids. They do Madame Tussauds, they do Legoland, they do Sea Life. They operate 4 or 5 massive theme parks in the UK. Their results were pretty much in line. They'd taken a nasty hit earlier in the year when there was a nasty accident on one of their big theme rides. But
yes,
that's an extremely rare sort of incident for this sort of company, and it's only a very small proportion of their revenues. But otherwise, they're basically going along quite well. Earnings growing okay, and lots of growth opportunities in places like China and the Middle East.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good story, right? When we were looking at it before, it's conservatively financed. A lot of the theme park companies in the United States have been through private equity ownership, drag a lot of leverage behind them. Accidents aside, this is rather a dull and conservative outfit.
It is. They can sort of nibble away at new ideas. So the other people do the really big creative heavy lifting, like someone else has come up with Shrek or the CBeebies characters or Doctor Who or Star Wars.
They license them.
And they license it in, and they find the right location, but they probably lease that. And they put it in cities where it's not a gamble on people wanting to spend all day, but maybe an hour or two when it's raining, which is only about 40% of the time in this country.
Although it feels like more.
Yeah, it feels more like 80. and the parent is desperate.
Yes.
And once they get them in, boy, do they know how to make money out of them. Once you've got one of these two or three kids in Legoland, you're very lucky to come out with anything in your wallet after a while.
So it sounds like a story that Lex might like as a stock. How's the growth rate? And what's the multiple?
Well, the multiple, something like 20, 21, which is pretty high for this side of the Atlantic, not high by its US comparators. And there isn't another stock like this in the UK that I can identify. They're in the really big flagship attractions. If you want a piece of this sort of action, Merlin is probably the best place to get it in Europe. So relatively expensive for a relatively good growth story is what it is. And this sort of demand is going to keep going. I mean, parents are still there. Parents are still desperately keen for ideas to entertain their kids, and sometimes to kid themselves that they're educating them at the same time.
I'm buying, Giles. Thanks very much.
Thank you.